Hello there, Drew Hanish, Whiskey Lore, here doing another tasting video. And this time, rather than just one whiskey versus another, I've decided to throw in three. And thanks to Cast to Glass off of Instagram for the suggestion of adding in this third whiskey. This is going to be a very interesting tasting because it's a tasting that I had to do a blind tasting earlier, where basically flip the lights out, you pour the drams, mark down what's in what, circle them all around while I'm not looking, turn the lights out, take my glasses off so I can't cheat, and then taste each one, write down my notes, and then unveil to myself which one I liked over the other two. And you may be surprised at the ending and which one I chose. You may not. And honestly, I'm going to try to give you flavor notes here and not try to throw any biases too much in your direction. And at the end, I'll unveil what you guys voted for between the two, and hopefully you get kind of an idea of what Elijah Craig is like in the middle. And yes, I just gave away one of the whiskeys that's in here, which is Elijah Craig. That's going to be or in the middle between these two that are fighting against each other. Like I say, all three of these have the exact same mash bill. They're all 78% corn, they're all 12% malted barley, they're all 10% rye. Now, I have done some reading that has shown that Henry McKenna may have been 13% rye at one point with less corn in it, but according to what I read when I was doing the tasting over at Heaven Hill, all three of these are the exact same mash bill. So we're really doing an apples to apples comparison in terms of the juice that's inside of these. What's different about these is the time they spent in the cask and location in the warehouse. Were they located up in the top where it's hot, and there's going to be a lot of expanding and contracting of the wood in the barrel, and that's soaking that whiskey in and pushing it back out, making it age and pulling that oak flavor more of an extreme, versus something that may be in the middle of the warehouse and doesn't quite get the extremes, gets some but not so much, or the bottom where it's nice and cool and it's probably a bit more even finish. Now the thing is, I don't know the history of where these have been in the warehouse. I can't find anything on the three to be able to tell you where they've been. So we have to use our taste buds, we have to use our noses, and we have to use our tasting notes, which I'm going to be looking at quite a bit here, because always when on screen, it sometimes draws my mind is in two places, so it's sometimes hard to remember or pay full attention to the smells and tastes, and that's just a weakness of mine. I am still learning a bit on doing these tastings and nosings. So, and what's funny is sometimes you'll stick your nose in the glass, you get one thing, and then the next time you'll pull something completely different out. And sometimes it's just a matter of what you're looking for. So this first one to me is what I call the cherry whiskey. I tend to get more cherry out of this one, kind of a sour tart cherry. And it lays over the top on the nose. It's vanilla and caramel, or caramel, whichever you prefer. It's kind of a medium nose. It's not overly aggressive. And there's some sawdust in there. That was a very interesting note that I was picking up. I mean, you can say oak if you want, but for me, it kind of reminds me of fresh sawdust. It's like it's young wood. Is what it smells like. I would imagine they use the same char on the barrels for all three of these as well. Okay, now this one is interesting because to me, on the nose, it rolls much more towards an earthy, almost minty herbal kind of smell. It still has the vanilla and the caramel. There's a sweetness to it. That may be honey because I don't tend to pick up honey so much, but sometimes I'll just identify sweet. Let me see if there's anything else in my notes. Well, I said there was a little nuttiness in there. Maybe if I hunt for it. But it's very, very light. All right, this one. Okay, this one has a much more dominant nose. And to me, it's heavy in wood and alcohol, like just a mashup of the two. Yeah, the alcohol is really kind of I don't know, with that mixture of oak being so strong. It's not really a charred oak. It's just a woody, nutty kind of thing. And then if you really drag on it, all of a sudden, and your brain goes there, vanilla comes out. And it's like vanilla extract that comes out in that. So that's very interesting because we got 3 different whiskeys here. Same experience today that I had the other day, that all 3 have very different noses from each other. Cherry, oak and alcohol, and this one is sort of minty herbal. Very, very interesting how that works out. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the tasting of each of these. Any ideas which ones these are yet? From your own experience, have you tried them? I do like the nose on that one. It's just weak. It's a little weak. Oh, that is rich. Oh, it ends in a burnt spice. If you get a good mouthful of it, it's just heat. It's not annoying or anything. Wow, that is a lot sweeter than any other time I've taken a draw off of this thing. Wow. Cherry, definitely. And just a very sweet, decent mouthfeel. I would say that it has kind of a milky toffee to it. Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice. My disappointment in this one is the finish. It just disappears. There may be some black pepper in there, and then it's like, I'm out of here. I've had enough. I'm going. Take another draw off of me, because that's the only way you're gonna keep remembering that one. But so in my notes, I also have alcohol, but I didn't really notice it that much that time. But yeah, the quick fade and the cherry. It suggests that I add a little water to it, and that this one can take the water. And we'll try it one more. I got a little more of the alcohol that time. To be honest, it actually killed some of the milky toffee there in the middle. A little alcohol in the finish too. I don't know that water really helped that. I mean, maybe a little. It seemed to the other day, but today, no. All right, any ideas what that is? It's good. I definitely put it in a good category. All right, let's go for Elijah Craig. I got a really interesting tasting note off of this last time. Oh, that smells really nice now. There's earthy, but oh man, I almost want to throw it like a dark chocolate with cherry in there too. It's got a baking spice of some form that seems to be coming through. Very, very different nose. Mm. I love the mouthfeel on that one. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. There's like a coffee kind of a flavor in there. This one has more of a refined kind of a taste to it. It's very, very smooth. I got cherry jelly beans in this one, so the cherry is carrying through to this one. Vanilla, definitely. Caramel, definitely. There's not that earthiness on the palate so much. Mm. Nice legs on that one. The finish lingers a bit longer. It's kind of the charred oak stays there. There's a little bitter to it. Yeah, it's a little more bitter on the finish, but it's still not offensive. And there's a little alcohol at the end. So that's Elijah Craig. We know that's Elijah Craig. All right, time for this last one. And definitely got to cleanse the palate between. What's interesting going from the nose on that one to that one. Let's see if this one changes. It does. It's amazing how after you taste a whiskey, suddenly your nose perks up and starts pulling new things out. This still is kind of sickly alcohol oak. I don't know why. But now, that underlying vanilla and a little burnt char in there is coming through a bit more. All right, tasting on this one. Mm. That's more, a little more, it's milky too. There's no dominant flavor while it's on your tongue, and it's not sweet. The oak really tends to dominate this one, to me. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try that one again. It's almost like there's some kind of a wine type. It's not grape. I don't know. There's almost a cognac kind of a finish in there, but it's very, very faint. Just on the finish. Hmm. I can't get over that annoying alcohol oak overlay on this whiskey. There's some spice in there as it rolls on, some black pepper definitely. Let's see what I put in my notes. Menthol, wood spice, light sweet. Yeah, there's sweet is not the dominant in here. It's almost like a high gravity beer. I mean, that alcohol just kind of sits there, and if you pay too much attention to it, it becomes annoying. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of high gravity beer. It just gets too sweet. I can't drink. It's like I'll drink half a glass of it and I'm done. Mm. Again, not really an improvement on the tongue. It feels like if I sat with this even longer, the spice is much more on the finish, and the black pepper with the water. I don't know. This is a drier whiskey, and except for the alcohol, I mean, alcohol dry. Yeah, That's and the vanilla doesn't really sing through that, and I wish it would. It's there. It's there faintly on the finish. I guess it's there in the middle, but it just feels like a mashup of so much or so little that I can't get anything out of it. So which one do you think is which? Well, I'm going to tell you that one of these costs $15. Another one of them costs $27. And the other one used to cost $27. Then it went to $30. Then it went to $50. And now I've seen it as much as $100. And why? Because it won an award. Actually, it won 2 awards. It won the same award twice. It won it in 2018 and 2019. And that is for the best single barrel whiskey at the, San Francisco World Spirits Competition. So you win the award twice. Okay, there you go. Suddenly you get a higher profile and there's more demand, and then the price shoots up. So it went from being a great value bourbon to becoming a very high priced bourbon. Was it worth, did you hear between these enough of a difference to make you go, yeah, I would pay 3 times as much for one of those than I would pay for another? And do this tasting yourself. I would love to hear your thoughts and how the tasting goes for you, and do it blind. Don't let anything influence your experience. Of course, you've heard all my tasting notes now, and that might throw you off because obviously this one was very cherry and this one was very alcohol and oak. So which one is it? This is the Evan Williams 100 proof, bottled in bond, white label that you can get. This is a liter. I think I paid $19, $18 for a liter. That's $15, $16 probably in most places you go. 4 years old. Elijah Craig is 27, around that price a bottle, depending on where you're at. 94 proof. Okay, very nice presentations. Probably it is the nicest bottle presentation of them all, and that is the small batch. There's also a barrel proof version of this. This used to be 12 years, but they, because of demand, they had a decision to make. Do we raise the price, as we did with this one, because it became more rare, or do we just lower the age on it? And so they decided to lower the age. And then the last one is the Spirits Competition winner, Henry McKenna, 10-year, single barrel, bottled in bond. Now, I'm going to say something about this one. Look at the bottom down there, and it will show you the barrel's date at the bottom, what the barrel number is. And so that's what you get with a single barrel. Something else you get with a single barrel is that my bottle may not taste at all like your bottle. They try to do quality control, but I can tell you that I have had Henry McKenna before, and I don't know if it was atmosphere or what, but I did not like this bottle as much as what I remember drinking in other places. So either there's something wrong with this bottle, or it's just the pleasure of being out somewhere enjoying this. To me, this was a vanilla bomb, and here it's an oak and alcohol bomb. So add a little water, it doesn't really seem to change the effect of it. So that's the danger you get into when you buy a single barrel, is that you're going to get the seasons that it went through, and you're not really getting a refined product that's all been kind of batched together to try to make some consistency. You're going to get whatever came out of that barrel. So that is Henry McKenna. That's Evan Williams, bottled in bond, 100 proof. You guys picked this one 77% to 23%. This is going to be $50 to $100 a bottle. This is going to be $15 a bottle. You decide, is it worth the height in price for the flavor profile that I'm talking about there? And I say, go try this somewhere. If you're out and you don't have a bottle of it, try it somewhere before you buy it. and get a feel for it. But you may not get the exact same whiskey when you end up buying a bottle wherever you end up finding it. So I hope this was helpful for you. I will say there's one other thing I learned while doing this tasting is that there is another difference between this one versus these two. This one is charcoal filtered. You've probably heard that before, especially since I just did a George Dickel episode and said I got upset about James Bond calling Tennessee Sour Mash whiskey bourbon because it has to go through the extra process. But you'll notice on here that they call this Kentucky straight bourbon. So I'm going to have to look a little deeper into that because maybe Tennessee Sour Mash whiskey is still officially bourbon, even though it's gone through the extra process of charcoal filtering. Very, very interesting stuff you learn when you start doing these tastings and really immersing yourself in stuff. So I hope this was educational for you. Happy tasting, whichever one you decide to buy. I think they all have their own personalities, and some are going to fit you better than others. And I know which one I like the best, which is, well, actually, you know what? I'm kind of between these two. After doing the second tasting on them, I'm kind of between these two. But to me, this is the value bourbon. This one is a little more refined, maybe, a little more age on it. And so you make up your own mind. How about that? All right. Leave your comments, and I'd love to hear what you think about this review and what you think about the different whiskeys. And if you're going to do the tasting, I'd love to hear your results also.